Hey everyone, and welcome back to Spirituality with Gabriella. And if you are new here, welcome, welcome. So today we will be doing a pick a card reading on your future spouse and your journey to one another. So we're going to try and get as many intuitive messages as possible on how you and your spouse get to each other, how you meet, if there's anything of note there that will help you find them in the future. So I will try and get as detailed as I can today. And today, because I am moving, unfortunately I don't have any crystals like I normally do. So today we are going to have to work with what we got. And we have these 3 rings, which I will be introducing now. So before you pick your pile, just please make sure that you take a deep centering breath. That's very, very important. You can pause the video if you need to. And just take a moment to look at each of these 3. And for some of you, a good trick with pick-a-cards is if you can imagine yourself or your face under the deck of the card, then that probably means it's the pile for you. So here we have pile 1 with this little star ring. It's very cute. Pile 2 with this very beautiful kind of gemstone cluster ring. And then here we have pile 3 with this gold ring, which is English. So you can see there's a little inscription inside. So take a second and pick the pile that speaks most to you. And then once you've done that, you can fast forward using the timestamps below and get your own personal reading. And I will see you guys there. Thank you so much. All right, pile 1, welcome to your reading. So I have your cards here. I am going to shuffle them and see what comes through about your journey to your future spouse and vice versa. All right, so these are the cards that I picked for you, and let's see what comes through. So the first thing I'm getting is that something has to change in your life in order for you to meet your future spouse. For a lot of you, it feels like you go away to school or you go somewhere where it is further away from where you live now. This could be with your career, this could be a project, a volunteering opportunity you take, something that is different. And the reason why I say this is I'm getting a lot of foreign vibes for your future spouse. So it feels like you have to displace yourself in order to be with them. And of course, remember that it's a two-way street. So it may be that your future spouse is the one who decides to make a move or take a trip or go on a very, very long vacation. But just to clarify, this isn't like a 2-week vacation that I'm seeing where you meet on a whim. Instead, it feels like you are out of your comfort zone and you are out of your normal surroundings. So this is kind of the first thing I'm getting with the Wheel of Fortune, which always symbolizes change, and it always symbolizes it's a destiny card, so it's a good card, and this means that actually this change has to happen in order to get you out of the energy of feeling stuck. So I feel that at least before you meet each other, there is an energy of just, oh, things feel slow, I feel stuck, I have no idea how to approach it. I mean, it's really hard to meet your future spouse because your spouse is the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life, right? So you want them to be the right person. And I feel like for many of you watching, you've tried dating apps, and maybe you've even tried getting introduced to friends and blind dates and stuff like that. Friends of friends and all of that, but I feel like these things haven't really worked. And so what I'm getting is you feel lonely, which I think makes perfect sense. And I want you to know, just by virtue of watching this reading, this is not something that's going to last for a very long time, but it will require a little bit of patience, and it will also require taking some risks. This is what I see. So when we have the Wheel of Fortune here and we have the Six of Swords next to it, the Six of Swords is such a positive sign. And actually all three of these cards together symbolize displacement to some extent and travel very strongly. Now it might sound weird because we're going through COVID and all of this kind of stuff, but it feels that you guys are able to come together despite having different backgrounds. So this is what I get. This could also symbolize a long-distance relationship. So your journey to each other might be something where one of you lives in one state, someone lives in another state, and you have this long-distance relationship for quite a while. But whatever it is, there's a distance involved. It's not like you guys live in the same place, the same apartment, or whatever, at least not at the beginning. I think that you get to that stage, of course. But at the beginning, it feels like there's distance, and it feels like there is a bridge to be gapped. So the good news is the Six of Swords symbolizes going on a journey, and this is a journey of enlightenment, and this is also a journey of challenge and courage. And so I feel that in order to be with your future spouse, it's not just about you meeting them, it's actually about a test of your courage. And so you might take on a role, for example, that you're really nervous about, or you might take on some kind of project that almost seems like uncharacteristic for you. Like, you know, sometimes when people are like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do the Peace Corps and I'm gonna live in this remote village with no running water and something like that, and everyone in their life is like, wow, that's so nice of you, that sounds really intense. Well, you might be the type of person who decides to do something like that. Or you might decide to take on a very large undertaking. So of course this is a general reading, and this is going to come in many shapes and forms. For some of you, this is teaching internationally. For others of you, this is doing your residency, or just doing something that feels incredibly hard. This is not like an average pursuit. This is either a displacement or a massive challenge that you are taking on. And there's something about it that feels unfamiliar, and I want you to know that it is that unfamiliarity that actually puts you in the place where you are going to meet your future spouse. Because throughout this journey, you become very wise. This is what I get. And so we have the World here. And in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot deck, the World is made up of all of these different elements and basically has the symbols of the different suits in the tarot deck. And so you're able to come to a new understanding about the type of person that you want to be with. For a lot of you, I'm getting that this is a shared venture. For many of you, it's like you go away to grad school and they're also there and you meet them there. For other people, I think it's a program, it's a volunteering thing, something like that. It requires taking a little bit of a risk. So it's very important that you are just okay with taking those risks. I'm also getting that whatever risk this is hard for you. It's not easy. It makes you nervous. For some of you, it's moving to a completely different place. It kind of eats away at you, and it's really interesting. In matters of the heart, it kind of feels almost unexpected that you would meet this person there. I think for a lot of you, there are some, I'm not going to call them fears, but concerns about meeting the right person in terms of background and in terms of culture. And so it feels like you really care about what your family thinks of them and what kind of background they're from and how your families work together and that type of stuff. And I can see this easily eating away at you. I do see your family accepting your future spouse. It feels like they might be from a different place. They might have been brought up in a different place, but you feel so safe with this person. You just feel joyful and totally in love with this person. And I think that your family definitely learns to understand that they've never seen you this happy before. And because they've never seen you this happy, they accept it. They learn to kind of shake off some of the things that they thought were going to be true for your relationship and just be okay with it. And so I think that's really amazing and that's exciting, because what I get is that through being in this relationship with your future spouse, you actually help your whole family open up and become more wise and become more accepting. So interesting. I think that for some of you, you might actually hide this relationship at the beginning. This only applies to some of you, at least that's what I get, but it's almost like the forbidden fruit. It's like that type of thing where you're supposed to marry into a certain culture or a certain set of norms, and this is different. And so you kind of keep it in the shadows or behind closed doors for a while. Or for some of you, it might be really more taboo. Like, for example, you have a relationship with your teacher. It feels like you might have to kind of shut away this relationship, not in the sense that you don't care about it, but in the sense that you don't mention it immediately to your family who are from your original background. So I think that this relationship fundamentally changes you in a lot of ways. What I get though is that you have a good sense of humor, and so do they. So it kind of becomes this thing where it starts here in the shadows, and then eventually you bring it into the light. And you bring it into the light because you need this person to be part of your life. And I'm also getting that it's a little bit like, well, I choose this person, so whether my family or my friends like it or hate it, oh well. Too bad for them. You know what I mean? I'm getting a little bit of stubbornness, but it's not in a bad way, because at the end of the day, you are standing up for someone that you love. What I can tell you about your journey to each other is that, like anything, it feels like it exists in the external space at the beginning. So the example I would give is knowing someone is in a class but not really having spoken to them before. And so it feels like you're aware of their presence. Once you make this change, it feels that you are aware of them, and it feels like you have your eyes on them kind of, but you're not serious about anything. Maybe you just think that they're cute and it kind of just ends at that, or so you think. But I think that they actually make the first move, and it feels like they just come up to you and ask you out, quite literally. Of course, it's a general reading, keep that in mind. It might be slightly different for some of you, but I think it's going to surprise you, because we have the initial frustration of being on dating apps and meeting friends of friends and all of that stuff, and that not really having worked out for you. And so I feel that this surprises you, because the whole thing is just totally turned on its head. Like, it's not the normal way that someone would get into a relationship, because even though you're aware of them, it doesn't feel like you have to pursue them. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of effort involved on your part, other than waiting for the moment when they come to you and you meet them. So I feel like they know that they like you from the very beginning, and they have a bravery about them. They have an upfrontness and a straightforward nature, which is really interesting, and it's a very different energy from a lot of people I tap into. But I feel like your future spouse, once they know that they like you, they don't really have any qualms about approaching you. They just come right up to you and maybe they don't ask you out the first time that they talk to you, but they're not that shy, or at least they force themselves not to be that shy. So that is what I get. So I'm getting that with the Ruler of Wands, this is the King of Wands. This is a very strong energy, and I see this as being your future spouse. So it feels like your future spouse from the beginning is strategic enough to understand that you and them would be a great match together. So I think they notice you from early on, and then, like I was talking about, even though they start out here in your kind of rung of acquaintances, they start coming in and in and in and in and in. And for a lot of you, it might just be like a study group, or they somehow wiggle their way into doing the same program as you or whatever. And it's not that they only do this to be with you, although I think that they do really care about you and they want to be close to you and they just enjoy being around you a lot. But they also have big dreams and big goals, and you guys share some similar goals. This is what I'm getting. Some of you might work in the same industry, so there's a natural connection point. And I think once you meet them, it feels like the relationship happens fairly quickly. There's something about this environment you're in which is so different from your natural environment anyways, that by the time you meet them, you're just like, yeah, let's go for it. And even if you're not the type of person to jump into relationships, it feels like you've been waiting, and it feels like you know that they are the one for you. Or at least you're willing to believe that that might be the case. And so instead of being as slow as you normally would, you just kind of do it and you just kind of let yourself enjoy. And I feel like that's the best thing to do, because letting your emotions take control, like you can see here in this card, we have this oyster, and the pearl in the oyster is coming out, so we can actually see it. So instead of closing up like you normally would, or being a little bit more logical, like, oh, I don't know if he's perfect in this way and that way, you just intuitively get that this person is someone you will feel safe with, someone who you are motivated to be with, and someone who will help you be your best self. And so I think you kind of are okay with just jumping into this relationship, even if it's a little bit uncharacteristic. Let's just pull some more cards and see what else we get. A lot of you are going to move, same card here, a lot of you are going to move to the same country after a few years of being together. So it feels like it might take it might be shorter, but for some of you it's around the 2-year mark where you decide you want to be in the same country, you want to be in the same place. Okay, so here we have the Emperor, and once again, so I was getting study. When we see the Emperor, this is about a organizational underpinning. So yes, you might meet at work, although for many of you, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. It feels like it is a study or a program, but whatever it is, this is an organization. There is something where it's not just you and them, it's you and a large pool of people. And through that large pool of people, you end up meeting your future spouse. And this is just affirming once again with the King of Wands that your future spouse is a very strategic person. Okay, let's think about this for a second. You definitely meet this person at a time in your life when things are feeling just very different. Okay, so what I'm getting is there feels like there's a shock. It's actually the shock that brings you two together. The shock can be the change itself. It can also be the loss of someone. I feel like some of you actually lose someone, unfortunately, who is close to you. More older person though, so it's not someone who's very young. It's not like a unprecedented death or something, but it feels like you might lose someone who you are close to emotionally. And from that, your future spouse understands they need to be there to care for you and support you. So I kind of get this as a potential thing. But the Tower is also symbolic of thinking that your life will be one way, and then it kind of shifts, and it's a completely different way entirely. So just know that the situation that you meet them in is one that feels a little bit unstable, but it's because of that instability that your future spouse is able to kind of swoop in and give you this beautiful offering, which is this relationship and being with them. It's interesting because I feel like once you meet them and you affirm that you like each other, and so that's like out in the open, the relationship moves very fast, but it feels like at the beginning you might not feel in the mental headspace to be in a relationship. And I think for a lot of you, what I'm getting is it's because you feel like you've given up. And so don't give up. If you're sitting there thinking like, when am I going to meet my future spouse and whatnot? Of course, there's different timelines for everyone, but don't give up. I really don't think that this person is that far away. It feels like you need to kind of ruffle your own feathers a little bit. And it feels like you might have to take a couple risks. So if you are hoping to kind of stay in the same comfortable life that you already have, then I would challenge it a little bit. And of course, you're the one to decide your own future. But it feels like by going out of your comfort zone and taking a risk, then you get success. So I would just really encourage you to think about how you can change things up a little bit. Even if this opportunity or this change doesn't seem the most comfortable thing to do, it's often when we put ourselves out of our own comfort zone that we get the people that we love and that we care for. These are 3 hugely successful cards. And also one thing I want to tell you is the cards I draw while I'm speaking about certain themes are correlated. So just now when I was saying it's very important to make a change, to get out of your comfort zone, that's super important. So there's abundance here for you. Also, you and your future spouse are going to be very wealthy together because you're both really smart. Whatever this is, whatever program it is, or school or volunteering or whatnot, there is money to be made, and there's money to be made in partnership because you guys share similar passions, and it could even be the same industry. You both have a sharp business mind. This is part of the reason why the universe is sending this person to you a little bit later, because you actually needed to learn some of those lessons in terms of your career and in terms of finance and business before you meet your future spouse. But what do I see for you both? I see amazing happiness. Yes, it might have taken a little bit longer to get to this point, but when we see the 6 of Wands, this is bliss, security, happiness, success on all levels. And here we have this parade of people around us. And so I do think your family and your friends are going to be very, very happy for you once they meet this person, once they see how eloquent and well-spoken this person is. And in terms of clues for picking up who your future spouse is, I would look for someone who's highly intelligent, confident, well-spoken, has good manners, someone who's fairly tall, and there's something elegant about them. If they're a guy, then I would just call it charismatic. But for a woman, I would say it's more elegant. Like they're a poised person. They know how to carry themselves well. So this is kind of the things that I would look for. And I think most of them have dark hair. So just keep that in mind. All right, well, these are the messages that I got for you today, Group 1, and I hope that it resonated with you. If it did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Please share it if you feel so moved. And if you would like a personal reading, you can always book using the links in my YouTube banner. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much. Bye. All right, pile 2, welcome to your reading. So I have your cards here in my hand, and I'm going to shuffle them and see what comes through for you today in terms of your journey to your future spouse. So I'm also using the Weaver Tarot deck. Okay, so let's get started with these ones. I'm instantly drawn to this card, which is the Hermit. And the Hermit is all about looking within, and it's really interesting. I feel like a lot of you meet your future spouse during or after what I would call a significant spiritual awakening. It kind of feels like you meet them at a time when the path to your destiny is becoming clearer. So for example, maybe you went to school and you studied something, but it wasn't super clear what you're going to study. But once you have an idea of what you're passionate about and how you want to apply that, it feels like this energy of your future spouse starts coming into your life. I think for others of you, this is a major spiritual awakening. So it's something where you realize that the habits you had just don't really suit you anymore, or that they don't really protect your mental health and well-being enough. And so you're kind of meeting them at a time when you're also looking within very deeply. And I think that they're fundamental to this journey as well. So they are very important. And so we have the Hermit and Death next to each other. And Death is all about transformation. And so I'm very confident that your journey to your future spouse relies on this personal transformation that you make. For a lot of you, it's also picking up a more holistic practice. For example, maybe you kind of lived your life like normal, and then you discover Reiki or some energetic healing and you get really into it. And so this kind of transforms the way that you see things. So this transformation is key to meeting your future spouse. It's so interesting because with this Death card, it feels like there are certain aspects of the way you are living your life that you just want to cut away. It feels that you become more critical about what is serving you and what's not serving you. And that ability to be more critical actually helps you find your future spouse. But it starts from within. Whenever we see the Hermit, this is something that starts very much from inside of you. And then once you are conscious of it, that's when you start attracting that energy back to you. So if you're sitting there and you are so lost on, when and how you're going to meet your future spouse, I think my best advice to you is to really do a bit of a life evaluation. What's serving you, what's not serving you. And in terms of what's not serving you, it's okay to be ruthless with it. It's okay to kind of cut it away. Of course, if it's like family and stuff like that, that's harder. But if there's certain habits that you're holding on to or patterns that you keep repeating, just remind yourself that cutting that away is actually critical to meeting your future spouse. So you shouldn't feel bad about it. So it's in that process of cutting and trimming. It's almost like when you trim in a garden, you go out and you shear, and in order to help the garden grow anew, you have to go through that process. Otherwise, it's just old stuff piling on top of each other. And so this transformation is very important. And as you can see here, there's an enlightenment that takes place with this transformation. A lot of you were hurt in relationships previously, and I think this works in both ways, both you and your future spouse. It feels like there was someone you were with that wasn't 100% trustworthy. It's not necessarily that they did anything bad. It just feels like the idea of a relationship, you really have to trust someone to get into it. And I think the good thing about your future spouse is that they really understand where you're coming from with this. It feels like they might have also been through a relationship where they were a bit wounded and where things were a bit tough. And so I see you guys meeting and having a conversation kind of about this shared experience. And I think that really helps you connect and bond with each other. It definitely makes sense because with the Five of Swords, it feels like you're leaving most of the conflict behind. The Five of Swords is an interesting card. It's about competition as well. And so there is some competition here in that you almost kind of have to convince each other that it's okay to be in a relationship again. Even though you both think that one another are really nice and really cool, what I'm getting is that there's some initial trepidation. It feels a little hard at the beginning just to kind of jump over that hurdle, getting used to having these romantic conversations and flirting with each other and all of that kind of stuff. But know and trust that that person hears you and they understand you and they want only the best for you. I'm getting that a lot of people in this group love nature. You and your future spouse might go hiking together. You might like taking walks in nature outside. You might live close to the woods, or you just really enjoy being in nature. So I'm getting that you and your future spouse enjoy that and really like spending time outdoors. There might also be some camping involved here. There's just a love of giving back to the world, keeping things peaceful, keeping things harmonious, that I feel like you and your future spouse support each other on, which is really nice. I just want you guys to know there are a myriad of ways that you can meet this person. So it's very hard to say how you meet this person because there are so many different messages and there are so many different types of people in this group, specifically group 2. I feel that some of you meet them through friends. Others of you meet them online, actually, like a dating app. Really odd. It feels like some of you are even neighbors or that you live close to each other. Not growing up though. It feels like this happens later on in your life and you kind of bump into each other, but it's not like bumping into each other in a supermarket. Rather, it's that there's a reason you get to know each other, and it's because you exist side by side physically, and therefore you decide to meet and talk and get to know each other. This could be at college as well, for those of you who are students. So it's really hard to say how you meet each other because it's definitely going to be a lot of different ways for this group in particular. What I get most importantly is there's a shared understanding, and this shared understanding brings you closer to each other. So you are going on this transformation. You are a little bit nervous at the beginning, but there's something about them that makes you feel really heard and really safe. And I feel like being with them motivates you to make yourself a better person. That's what I get. When I see the Ace of Swords, it also feels like your future spouse helps you make better judgments. I know that sounds really weird, but I get a few themes with you guys. 1 is transformation, 2 is nature, 3 is judgment. I feel like they kind of help you filter through all of your thoughts, and they really help you kind of hone in on your approach and your path and who you are as a person. And I feel like they see you as such a beautiful soul and such a beautiful person, and they teach you to help you look at yourself that way as well. So this is really beautiful. The other thing is, I don't know why I get so many vibes about nature and camping and stuff like that, but there are also like wilderness types of vibes, and what I'm picking up, which seems super random, but maybe for some of you it applies, is the Arctic. So I don't know if any of you do like mountaineering or spend time in nature like the Arctic, but there are definite themes here. So this to me is like a mountain, and the images on the cards are super significant. So whenever we see images, like I will look at this same card 2 weeks from now and I won't even think about a mountain. But because I'm doing an intuitive reading and I think about a mountain here and I'm drawn to that, it's important for this reading. And then look at the back of this card too. Mountains, right? I feel like you guys either meet on some kind of expedition, some transformative spiritual place, casually, but whatever it is, you both have a desire to go very, very deep. You really care about being the best people you can be, and you are both going to this more spiritual path together. When we see the Eight of Cups, this requires leaving stuff behind. So just like I was talking about before with this cutting away of aspects of your life or your personality that aren't serving you, the same is here. With the Eight of Cups, we see someone who is literally leaving behind a lot of aspects of their life, but they're doing it in search of this better future. So definitely, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about self-development, and I feel like you and your future spouse really care about that. And so I feel like the ways that you'll know it's them is they love reading, they might be very philosophical, they love talking about ideas, they love debating things, they love nature, they love hiking, walking in the woods, camping, being outside, being by the ocean, stargazing. I'm also getting that. So I feel like you both will want to live in a more natural location in the future. So just know that that's kind of what I see for you. And then we also have the Emperor here. The Emperor is typically about structure and it's about authority. So for some people, this will be the workplace. For many people, I don't think so though. I don't know why. I'm just really pulled to like a camping trip or some kind of trip where you meet them through doing an excursion or something like that. And I know that's really specific, so it most certainly will not apply to all of you. But there is some underpinning of structure and order that kind of brings you guys closer together. And it's really interesting for some of you, it might be a program like a self-development program or a spirituality program, something that you decide to do where you're both pulled and drawn to this type of topic. But what I can say about you both for sure is you're not like single-minded people. It feels like you're very accepting of different ideas. And so the best advice I can give you is look for someone who has those same values as you, someone who cares about the truth, who really cares about our planet and protecting it. Perhaps they're really into like nature, photography, I'm seeing for some of them. Being outside is a big, big theme here. So it's really important to find someone who kind of shares that same love of the outdoors that you do, because I feel like that's how you will make your best memories. So I'm just going to pull some more cards and see if anything else comes through about your journey to each other. I'm getting National Geographic. Okay, with the Seven of Pentacles, this is about someone who's working hard. Working, but this is really good. Honestly, the more you work, the more abundance there is. And this doesn't just have to do with physical work like in an office. Sorry, my mic died, but I will continue. So the more you work on yourself, the more you are attracting your future spouse to you. And we have two cups here. So this is Temperance, so it just features cups. And this is the Page of Cups. This is about emotions. You and your future spouse are going to be able to balance each other out. You're going to be able to learn from each other. You are going to be emotionally, you might even be opposites, kind of like yin and yang energy, but I get a calm vibe from both of you and what I would call a chill vibe from both of you, which is nice. There is an offering here, so it feels like they come to you, not so much like you come to them. And you might even meet them somewhere by the ocean, like I said before, on some kind of excursion near the water. Maybe you live close to the water. If so, that should be really good news for you. With the Page of Swords here, it feels like this is a journey for you, but it's a journey in critical thinking. It's a journey in sharing ideas with each other. So whatever it is, see the mountains again, there is an opportunity for you guys to come together and for you guys to share ideas. So I am thinking that this is some kind of, not just an excursion, it could be some self-development course, it could be a class, it could be meeting them at an event, for example, going to the theater and talking about a shared subject that you can both focus on. I know with COVID it seems very hard. And then lastly here we have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is usually about someone from the past, and again it's a cup card, so I'm being shown emotions are one of the most important parts of your relationship, as is just growing yourself. And so I feel like with the Six of Cups, you might know this person already, but it's very important to understand that when you first met this person, they were not like future spouse material yet. It feels like they grow into this, and it feels like there's a long gap between when you initially meet them and when you come together, if you already know them. And so just know there are people in your life who are going to mature and are going to be great potential suitors for you. So keep your eyes open for them. And for some of you, especially with all the nature themes that I'm getting, think back to if you went to camp when you were a kid with someone who was like really nice and cool, because you might actually bump into them later on in life and there might be a reconnection, although it feels like they reach out to you. That's the only thing I would say. So group 2, these are the messages that I got for you today. Bit of a longer reading, so I hope if you lasted to this point you enjoyed it. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and share it if you feel so inclined. And if you would like a personal reading, you can book using the links in my YouTube banner. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Okay, group 3, welcome to your reading. So I'm going to pull some cards here and we're going to find out how you and your future spouse journey to each other. What is that process like? I know you guys love getting the Hanged Man as your first card. Usually it symbolizes a bit of a delay, so hang in there. We're going to figure out, hang in there, literally. We're going to figure out how you guys meet to the best of our ability today. This person is really cool, by the way. Worth the wait. That's what I'll say. Alright, so we also have the Wild and Known Animal Spirit deck here. Nice. And then I also have the Golden Thread Tarot deck here, which I know is a favorite for many of you, so let's see what comes through. Just give me a second. You're a very creative group. I think we have a lot of musicians in this deck, artists, creators, writers as well. Nice. Okay, so let's start with these. Alright, so the first thing I want you to know is yes, there's a little bit of a delay. You might meet this person after you are 30. But you know what, that's perfectly okay because there's bookends here. It starts with a delay, but there is a fast energy coming through here as well. Once you meet this person, you're not going to have to wait much longer. So marriage is actually coming to you fairly soon. I think it's delayed because of COVID, but as early as late next year, your future spouse could very well be coming into the picture. And 2022, I'm getting, is going to be quite a turning point for a lot of you. It is for many people, but for you guys especially, I think 2022 is a big year. So in terms of your journey to each other, first of all, I want to say that you are a very impressive person. You know how to manage your money. This is very attractive to your future spouse. You are someone who is abundant in terms of your creativity, your personality, the way that you lead your life is a little bit different. I want to say eccentric is not necessarily the right word, but you are definitely a creator, because when we have these three cards together, the wolf, the zebra, and the swan, these are all very creative cards. This is the type of card that you get when you are a visionary, you're an artist, something like that. So you definitely have this passion for ideas and birthing them and sharing them with the world. So one very important thing to know is I feel that through this creativity, your future spouse is attracted to you. That is your journey to each other. Very important that you share your ideas, your soul, and yourself as much as possible. If you're a musician, for example, and you aren't putting yourself on SoundCloud or Spotify or whatnot yet, definitely make sure that it's up there. Honestly, even if you write a song and it feels kind of not that great, I would still put it up there, because what I'm getting is that your future spouse is really impressed by your creative ability. Some of you are also bloggers. This is what I get. And it's not necessarily that your future spouse would read your blog and then reach out to you. Like, it's not that distant of a connection, but it just feels like once you're getting to know each other, they are really impressed by your creative ability and that they are also creative in their own way. I think some of them are entrepreneurs, have their own businesses going, doing stuff with technology. It feels like you guys really complement each other in terms of your creative life, basically. So that's awesome. I also get theater, and one thing that I'm seeing is you might meet them through it's like a group or an app, but it's an app for a specific type of people. Like, you know how they have like Christian dating apps? It would be something like that, except not religious. It would be about creativity. So for example, if there's an app, I don't know if one exists, about meeting someone else who is also in theater, or meeting someone else who is also in the music industry, then that would be the best place for you to find them, or to find them in the industry itself. So I know a lot of people have fears sometimes about dating someone who like does the same thing as them, but I feel like they don't necessarily do exactly the same thing. It's just that they speak your language, they understand your industry. So that is a good hit for many of you, and that is a good way to meet your future spouse. With the Knight of Swords, there is determination here, and I see determination on both your parts. I feel like both of you are very mature. I'm going to play with this online dating idea for just a second. Let's say that you both set up an online profile. It feels like you're not going to be playing games with this person. A lot of people don't want to join dating sites because people aren't going to be that trustworthy or reliable, or maybe you won't meet people who are at the right stage in your life. But I think for you guys, it's fine, because your future spouse is the type of person who really genuinely wants a good, solid relationship. They don't want to date a lot of people. They're kind of past that phase in their life. I feel like a lot of them, especially if they were performing artists or whatnot, might have done that in the past, or maybe they went clubbing a lot when they were younger, but they're past that phase in their life now, and they're ready to be mature. They're ready to settle down. They still want to create. That's a huge part of who they are, but they want to have kids for some of them, not all of them, and they're just ready to commit. That's what I'm getting. And so I feel that when you meet each other, you're both meeting each other on the same page, which is really good. There's an opening here. So what I mean by that is meeting each other is kind of like a vortex. It feels like there's an opening of thoughts, feelings, ideas. Like you can just let them all out and they all kind of flow together. And I feel like this is really beautiful, because what I'm getting is that you don't really feel this way with a lot of people. Like, especially when you go on dates, you might meet people, but they seem kind of, for lack of a better word, dense or not that interesting, or a little bit one-dimensional. And you're looking for that wow factor. You're looking for the factor that shows that this isn't just some normal person, and you're not just looking for an average Joe. You're looking for someone who either has an edge or they have a special ability. And for many of you, this will be the creative space. For others, it can also be spiritual. Like, you might want to marry someone who has like very deep spiritual abilities. But whatever it is, it's like a vortex when you guys come together, because there's just an overflow of thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. I think you have a very strong physical relationship as well. It just feels like things really match together very nicely. So you have the Ace of Cups and you also have the Ace of Wands. And so emotionally, you'll be very connected almost immediately, very, very easily. And then we also have the Ace of Wands, which is the ideas. I also think you inspire each other. So you might find yourself writing songs about this person very early in your relationship, for example. So the other really nice thing to consider is, let's say that, I'm just using an example here, let's say you're a guitarist, it feels like you might meet a singer, and then you guys can make music together, you know? So this is literal, but also symbolic, that this person is like a partner in creativity, a partner in mental expansion. That's what I get. Once you meet this person, there is no question in your mind that this is the right person for you. I feel very strongly about this with this pile. It feels like you've been waiting for someone, and then your life just takes a shift, and it takes a shift in the most positive direction possible. When we see the Eight of Wands, you can see there's all these wands, there's movement, they're moving towards the sun here. The energy is working with you. You are ready to be with this person. You are ready to commit. I feel like the marriage itself might actually be fast, but it doesn't matter, because your family can see how happy you are. Your friends can see how happy you are. I feel like there's no reason to wait once you meet them, and you'll know that it's the right person for you, which is awesome. We have the High Priestess here, and the High Priestess is about internal knowledge. It is about what is intrinsic, not what is external. And so I feel like this person helps you be very wise in a way that perhaps you weren't previously. One thing I will say is you get into some very intense discussions. Not that they are disagreements, but they are psychologically pretty complex. And so you might even find yourself feeling a little bit fatigued, especially in the beginning once you kind of are trying to get used to them. So just know, still take time to yourself. Even though you're going to want to spend every waking second with this person, make sure at the beginning that you have a little bit of a buffer, because I wouldn't want you guys to get a little bit too burned out. But know that you're going to get used to each other's patterns and each other's styles, and it's just going to take a few months. You are going to fall in love like head over heels for each other. This is what I'm getting. I don't know what it is with the stripes, but there is a theme of stripes here, and I really don't know what that symbolizes, but there's kind of stripes here, there's stripes here, there's stripes here, there's stripes here, and there's stripes here. So if that is in any way symbolic to you, then just take it as a note. Maybe they wear stripy clothing. Maybe, I really have no idea. Like, I honestly can't tell you. But I just noticed it, and I feel like it might be significant for some of you, especially that we have the zebra too, which is all about stripes. I guess one of the symbolic messages, if I'm to interpret this, is when you see a zebra, a lot of people think that a zebra is white with black stripes, and then other people are like, oh no, the zebra is black with white stripes. And I think what's really interesting is it feels like this person, because they're so creative at the beginning, they're very fascinating to you. It's almost like a mental Rubik's Cube or puzzle, and you have to fit all those pieces together. And so other people might misinterpret them easily. Their audience or whoever they share their ideas with might have a different idea of how they are than how they really are when you get to know them personally. So just keep that in mind. I feel like you are meant to go deep with them, and you are meant to understand them on a deep level, but it might not be all easy at the beginning. It might take a little bit of like trying to put puzzle pieces in different places and then being like, I don't think it fits there, you know? So you're just gonna kind of have to work it out. But I see that you bring amazing poise and grace to this relationship because we have the swan. When we see the swan, you see that the swan is here and the reflection of the swan is also here, and this is you and your future spouse. Perfect reflections of one another in a very graceful and elegant way, which is beautiful. I'm just gonna pull any last cards to see things that you need to know as you go on your journey to meet one another. The Star. So what I'm getting is this is a match made in heaven, literally. I feel like when you guys meet each other, it's going to be very clear that you are meant to be together, and you will feel very strongly that you found your soulmate. You will get everything you're desiring, everything you're wishing. Stay strong on the process to get there, though. It's not going to be super easy. It might test your patience a little bit, but it's going to be worth it, because the message I'm getting is you bring out the wildness in each other, like the rawness and the creativity, and yet you also know how to tame each other, how to calm each other down, how to listen to each other deeply. And so this is a very special relationship that we have here. We also have Infinity, which is an amazing destiny sign. There's going to be transformation here. Some of you call me crazy, but some of you are becoming famous together. I think this is natural, especially given your creative abilities and your entrepreneurial abilities. So together you guys are going to really rise to a different level, and to a level that is seen very differently from by your peers, for example. So just be willing to go through that journey. I think it will be very, very exciting once you go through it. And then here we have the Seven of Wands. Sometimes you might have to grapple with different people's opinions, or especially if you become famous, people might have certain ideas about who you are, how you live your life, what you should be doing. But I just want you to know none of that is truly important. What is really important is being present with each other and doing what you love. And I feel like you both share what you're passionate about, and you do this together, and it just makes such a beautiful combination that I would not let this hold me back for a second. So I feel very passionate about your group for some reason. This is lifelong happiness, so I'm really, really happy for you guys. All right, so group 3, those are the messages that I got for you today, and I hope that it resonated with you. If it did, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you feel inclined, please do share. If you would like personal reading, you can always book using the links in my YouTube banner, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye!